First, a bit of news analysis. As the Pew Research Center for the People and the Press says, 80% of us get our news mainly from television. So let's focus on TV news. We'll start with the nightly network newscasts. News anchors and commentators, journalists with gravitas, who commanded respect from the public and prestige within the networks, were the watchdogs of our public life. Edward R. Murrow went on air to warn us against Senator Joe McCarthy's excesses, despite powerful pressure not to do so.
Good evening. Tonight, See It Now devotes its entire half hour to a report on Senator Joseph R. McCarthy, told mainly in his own words and pictures. His primary achievement has been in confusing the public mind as between the internal and the external threats of communism. We must not confuse dissent with disloyalty. The actions of the junior senator from Wisconsin have caused alarm and dismay amongst our allies abroad and given considerable comfort to our enemies. And whose fault is that? Not really his. He didn't create this situation of fear, he merely exploited it, and rather successfully. Cassius was right. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Good night, and good luck.
Edward R. Murrow was a seminal force in the creation and development of electronic news gathering, both as a craft and a profession. His career began at CBS Radio in 1935, his rich, expressive voice first coming to the attention of America's listening public in his many rooftop radio broadcasts during the Battle of Britain in 1939.
This is London. The Germans brought their battery of radio transmitters to bear on Britain this evening and poured out an hour-and-a-half speech by Herr Hitler, accompanied by a running translation in English.
Und von jetzt ab wird Bombe mit Bombe vergolten. From now on, bomb will be met by bomb.
Herr Hitler came down to the real purpose of his speech. He spoke of Mr. Churchill. Only a few weeks ago, Mr. Churchill said he wanted war. Only a few weeks ago, he started air raids on civilians. Herr Hitler said he had ordered hardly any reprisals. But his reply, which would come one day, would bring people endless suffering and misery. Britain would be annihilated. The German Fuhrer could see no reason why this war must go on. It would claim millions of lives. It may well have been only the opening gun in a new peace offensive. A peace offensive designed to place the responsibility for the continuation of the war upon Britain.
After the Second World War, Murrow helped television eventually become the nation's most popular news medium. Eric Sevareid was handpicked by Murrow to be a foreign correspondent for CBS News, and later to carry on the tradition of news analysis on television in his position as national correspondent for the CBS Evening News.
Mine has been here an unelected, unlicensed, uncodified office and function. The rules are self-imposed. These were a few. Not to underestimate the intelligence of the audience and not to overestimate its information. To elucidate when one can more than to advocate. To remember always that the public is only people and people only persons, no two alike. To retain the courage of one's doubts as well as one's convictions in this world of dangerously passionate certainties. To comfort oneself in times of error with the knowledge that the saving grace of the press, print, or broadcast is its self-correcting nature. And to remember that ignorant and biased reporting has its counterpart in ignorant and biased reading and listening. We do not speak into an intellectual or emotional void. One's influence cannot be measured. History provides for the journalist no markers or milestones, but he is allowed to take his memories.
Comedian Jay Leno remembers the Cronkite and Sevareid combination on the CBS Evening News.
When I was a kid, Walter Cronkite would do the news, and then Eric Sevareid would come on and do commentary, explain the news you just heard. But he would break it down so you could understand it.
Harvard professor John Quelch contrasts the journalism of Murrow and his highly respected executive producer, later CBS News president Fred Friendly, to that of cable TV news today.
If I was an old-time journalist, someone like Fred Friendly, for instance, I can imagine someone like him tearing his hair out at the thought that journalism would have got to the point where opinion and fact could no longer be easily distinguished.
It was the glory age of television news, without the pressure of a 24-hour news cycle, and with time to exercise greater discretion before reporting the news. In broadcast journalism, Peter Jennings had a reputation for putting complex and difficult issues